But forensic search and rescue specialist Peter Faldine, who selflessly joined the underwater search for the 45-year-old, says he's been made a scapegoat for the force's failings. And former Met Police Senior Detective Simon Harding says the blame lies firmly with the police, who he believes have let down Nicola's family with a string of mistakes and unanswered questions during the case. I'm delighted to be joined by both Peter and Simon now. So, Peter, let me start with you, because your reputation has been on the line here and you feel like you are being made a scapegoat today.
Absolutely, Simon. Dan, sorry. The police have been searching this river for 3 weeks with divers, with side-scan sonar, the same equipment as we had, and river search teams plus dogs, and Nicola has not been found. We searched that part of the river, the lower part of the river, for just 4 hours, and I can categorically say that from our sonar footage, which I've since reviewed, Nicola was not laying on the riverbed. I can't see into the reeds. I want to make that very clear. And I've always said that to the media. We cannot see into the reeds, but we can see what's under the boat. And I've got a crystal clear image of the actual riverbed.
Okay, but you never specifically searched that part of the river where she was found?
Yes, we did, Dan. We trawled like the police every day with our sonar. They did with their sonar, and there was no sign of Nicola on the under the water, I should say, not in the reeds. Our remit was not searching the riverbank or the reeds. To make that clear, so we ran the sonar down on day one, down about 2 or 3 miles down that river, and we never saw no sign of Nicola. As did the police for the last 3 weeks with their sonar device either.
So do you think the police searched the reeds and the riverbeds properly?
I can't really comment because I wasn't on that search, but all I can say is we searched upstream where the bench was, where I actually said there's no way she'd gone in the river at this point by the bench. It's too shallow and she wouldn't have drowned at that point, and she would not have got washed under the weir. And I can say that and I'm happy to do a test at any time to prove that she couldn't have gone in at that point.
Okay, because obviously what people are trying to work out, Peter, is was Nicola Bulley in the river the entire time and not picked up by your search and by the police search, or was she potentially put back into the riverbed?
Well, I don't want to start speculation. There is a potential. It's on a corner. It's a perfect deposition site, and it's right next to a wall. That is a possibility, but I don't want to spark speculation on that. But she was not in the river the day we searched. But the thing is, we're trying.
What about where she was found specifically? What about where she was found specifically? Had you specifically? I know you didn't look into the reeds in the riverbed, but the riverbed, did you specifically search there?
Yes, we drove past it with a sonar. It was crystal clear. Nothing.
Absolutely no sign. Okay.
No sign. I would see a body extremely clearly on our sonar without fail.
Okay. Well, look, stand by. Former Met Police Senior Detective Simon Harding, what do you think has gone on here?
I think firstly you've got to think of the timing of this. Really, that you've got to have a lot of sympathy for the family today.
Absolutely.
And I think there's a time and a place where this will be dissected, and it's going to go that way. And you're looking at really, this started with a media problem. And a lot of people have touched on that, where the messaging that came out wasn't quite as balanced as it should have been, and I think that will be looked at. The police, albeit not on purpose, gave the impression that they were really fixed on one particular hypothesis and not the others. And I think then people started to think, well, the family don't believe you, so we're going to come and come to the scene, and then it became a real circus around the scene itself. But then I think you have to look at the fact that behind the scenes, the police, I have spoken to people, police are doing a really good job, have done a really good job. The conventional things that you would expect to be done, and I have a lot of experience as an SIO with murder scenes in London and abroad, and I think they have done what they needed to do. There are complications, and in these kind of inquiries, missing persons inquiries, 170,000 people go missing a year, and people don't want this sort of information, and we got a feel for the family today. And it was especially where they said, please leave us alone, and it's become a bit of a circus down there. There's lots of things in this case which are going to come into question. The social media aspect to it.
Couldn't agree more. And by the way, we've been fully transparent about this. They, in the family statement, they were highly critical of the press. They were highly critical of 2 TV stations, Sly News and ITV. I just want to clarify my position on this, which is that I didn't speak about this case until Thursday. And I thought it was very important that the police and Peter were allowed to get on with their job, because I saw the media circus that was developing. But when my view changed was when the police went against what they'd said just hours earlier during the Wednesday press conference and released this highly personal information about Nicola Bulley, including the fact that she was suffering from the menopause and that she seemed to have an alcohol problem. And I just think that absolutely crossed a line. But Peter, can we come back to the river specifically? Because what I'm just trying to get my head around is whether you think that it's possible that you missed Nicola Bulley's body in some way, and that all of the police search teams missed the body too, because I completely agree we don't want to add to speculation, but you can understand at the moment there are millions of folk around the world saying, well, Peter Fording said that the body wasn't in the river, so the body must have been put in the river later on, because you've got these 2 dog walkers, one of whom is a psychic, who end up discovering the body, not the police.
The problem is, Dan, at the top part of the river above the weir, it's non-tidal. It just flows one way. Once you get over the weir, it's a tidal river. Now, any tidal river, and anyone who works on the Thames will tell you, things can get lodged in things called strainers, and especially on the corner, on a bend. And obviously the water will rise and it will go out. Every 6 hours there's a turn of the tide, and things can move out very quickly. We worked on one operation in Kent where a sheep was going up and down the river for 2 weeks, a bloated dead sheep, and it came back to the same point every night. So it can go out and it can come back in again. So there's a possibility that Nicola could have been lodged in somewhere else a bit further upstream. But what I do find strange is that she hasn't gone very far. If I would have expected her to go further in 3 weeks than she did, literally a few hundred yards just down the stream from the weir. That's what's got to me.
Okay. And Simon Harding, where do you see this going? Because, of course, the Lancashire police now have to regain the faith of the public, who feel very confused by what has, I believe, become a catastrophic PR and social media disaster. I mean, there were times, Senior Detective Harding, I'm not going to lie, it felt like the Lancashire police were loving the attention. On social media, they were replying to weird posts about some member of the public making up a Lego figurine of Detective Smith. It just felt inappropriate.
Well, that in itself is inappropriate, isn't it? But I'll just go back to that point about speculation. Now, I've never speculated about what's happened. We've talked about the messaging at the beginning, which could have helped maybe stop quite a lot of what's happened, and also the potential cordoning of the scene itself to stop people. But also, this isn't the end of the tests that will go on. Unfortunately, there's going to be more tests on Nicola, because the idea that she's been put back in there as a deposition is a complete speculation.
But we'll be able to find out, will we?
Yeah, they will know. They will know, and the tests that go through will determine that one way or the other.
Been submerged underwater.
Yeah, well, there's lots of things that will happen around that, and I don't think that's going to be hugely unpopular to hear that for a lot of people, and that's in terms of speculating that she's been put back in there, because that's not the case. There's no evidence of that at all, and let's wait for the factual evidence that comes out of the tests. But at the moment, I think now it is, let's get away from that family and leave them time to
agree more.
To cope.
Couldn't agree more. I've gone through utter hell. I think my point is that quite a lot of it has been to do with the way the Lancashire police decided to handle the case. But look, former Met Police Senior Detective Simon Harding, thank you so much. And forensic search and rescue specialist Peter Fording.